Let's go. I've been a barber since 2013. I've owned a barbershop since 2015. We've done millions of dollars in revenue. We've serviced thousands of clients. And if you're a barber looking to build clientele, if you're brand new to the industry, or you're just looking to get busier, or maybe starting in a new shop, then this video is for you. In this video, we're gonna talk about how to build clientele as a barber. So there's really two things to consider when it comes to building clientele as a barber. So the first thing is marketing, right? So if you're just starting out, or even if you are been established for a while, marketing is gonna help fill your chair faster. So let's talk about some of the things that you can do in marketing to fill your chair. And some of these will be obvious, but some of them might not be. And we're gonna talk about them. So we're gonna talk about marketing, some of my favorite subjects. So I think this is typically where a lot of barbershop owners, a lot of barbers, I think this is the first thing that their mind turns to. And there's nothing wrong with that, but there's another one that we're gonna cover later that I think is way more important. But we're gonna start here with marketing. And we're gonna start with what I think a lot of you focus on, which is social media. So probably comes as no surprise, a barber saying you should use social media. However, the way I might think about this might be different. So I like social media. We post all the time, but I don't actually think social media is that great of a tool for getting clients. The reason why is because me personally, and it depends on the types of clients that you work with, I don't think a lot of our clients are looking for barbers on social media. Where I think social media comes in is if you're using another marketing channel, it kind of shows as proof, like that you know what you're doing. So for example, if somebody finds you on Google, or you run an ad somewhere, one of the first things that they're probably gonna do is go to your social media to see pictures of your work, videos of your work. So if you're not using social media, I think you still can fill your schedule. I think it's just gonna be a little bit harder to get booked if you're not taking advantage of social media. And it doesn't mean that you have to post all the time, but just having something there for when clients are going to your profile to consider booking with you, just having something there for them to look at. So social media is, I think, the first place you should start to at least get some stuff on there. Don't think that if you start posting that you're just gonna get a rush of clients coming in. It doesn't really work that way unless you get really lucky. Social media mainly acts as a portfolio, in my opinion. When people are doing research on you and they go to your profile, they actually see that, oh, this person knows what they're doing. So I think just amplifies all the other marketing efforts if you have social media. This is right here is one of the more underutilized tactics for building clientele. And this may change in the future, but right now, a lot of people are still turning to Google, Yelp, and the other like local directories in your area to find barbershop near them, barbers near them, right? They literally are typing that into Google and searching. So if you're not on Google or Yelp or any of the other local directories in your area, then I would get on there first before doing anything else, because they might have found your social media first by some miracle, but now they want to come see you, but you're not even on Google. Get on Google, Yelp, and then once you're on there, and you don't have to have your own Google if you're working at a barbershop that has one, but the next step is building up those reviews. So asking your clients that come to you already to start writing reviews for you on Google, Yelp, or the other directories that allow you to do it, and make sure that they put your name in it. And because people read the reviews. So if they start to see like the same name coming up over and over and over again, then they're way more likely to book with you, especially if your name is in there. And then they go and check your social media and they see pictures of good haircuts, they're way more likely to book with you. So make sure if you're not on Google, Yelp, or the other directories, get on there. If your barbershop is on there already, then start focusing on how do I get my clients to write more reviews, because it shows it's kind of like, it's basically proof that you know what you're doing. That's what clients are really looking for with marketing. Like, how do I know that this person isn't gonna mess up my hair? So show them, have social proof in the form of reviews with your name, and then have pictures of work. So that way when they go to your profile, they're like, oh, this guy's pretty good. Next one is referrals. So I think a lot of barbers don't think about this one, but you can actually get your existing clients to bring you more clients. And it's going to be the highest leverage thing that you can do out of all the marketing tools. It's just as simple as getting the people that already come to you and asking them, hey, do you know anybody that is looking for a new barber? And then handing them 3 business cards, right? And saying, hey, here's one for you and here's one for each of your friends. And if you can incentivize them, so say if they bring this in and it has your name on it, then I'll give you a discount on your next cut. You can use your clients to bring in more clients because almost everybody knows somebody, right? And chances are, out of all the people they know, maybe a few of them are looking for a new barber. So, and all you gotta do is ask. You don't even have to incentivize people. A lot of people would be happy to do it for nothing, but just getting people to bring you new clients is by far one of the most effective marketing tactics that you can possibly do. And it can be free, right? But you can incentivize them if you want. You don't have to. A lot of people will do it just to support their barber. Then of course, you could always run ads, right? That's if you don't have time to do social media, Google, and the referrals aren't working out, then you could turn to paid marketing. You can run ads on social media. You can run ads on Google, Yelp. You can run ads really almost anywhere now, like local radio, magazines. You can do flyers, direct mail, coupons. But the only thing I would say with paid marketing is just track it. Like, try to keep track of like, this is how much I'm spending versus this is how much it's bringing in to make sure that you're not wasting money on this. Because if you're spending $100 to get a client in who's only spending $30, $40, that's not a very good trade. So this would be one of the last things I would do if I were you. I would get all these things in place first. And if you still need more clients, then focus on paid marketing. But I can tell you from personal experience, it's really easy to let this go out of control really fast. You can waste a lot of money doing this. So be careful. Maybe have an agency do it for you, because I mean, I see ads on Instagram almost every day from barbershops that are like on the other side of the country. And I'm like, it's not that hard to just, when you're setting up an ad, to just create a radius around your area so that only people in your area are seeing the ad. So when you just turn on the ad and you're not really paying attention to what you're doing, you could be blowing a lot of money. When we run ads, we're limiting it to like a 7-mile radius around the shop, because people, even on the other side of the county, they're not gonna come to us, so they don't need to be seeing our ads. So that's just one example of how people can waste money doing paid marketing. So I would focus on these other things first, because they will also amplify the paid marketing. So if you run a paid ad and they go and look you up and you have good reviews on Google, Yelp, and you have good work on your social media, they're way more likely to come in than if you have nothing. All right, so that's marketing. That's the first thing you can do to build clientele. Now let's talk about the next thing. So the next thing is retention. Ultimately, if you're not busy, then it's one of these things or both. So building clientele ultimately comes down to marketing for new clients and then retaining them. Because even if you get really, really good at marketing, but you're not keeping the clients, you're gonna have to keep doing it, right? Because your clients come in, they get their haircut, and then they don't come back. So focusing on both, and arguably I would focus more so on this. Once you start to get some traffic, focus on how do I get them to come back? Because if you're not retaining them, then you're gonna blow a lot of money. And all you're doing is really spreading the word that this person really isn't that good, right? Because they came in and they didn't have a good enough experience to make them wanna come back. So let's talk about some ways that you can retain people. And I'm also gonna throw in a couple of bonuses at the end that I think I've never heard anybody really talk about, but let's talk about some retention. So there's a lot of things that can affect whether somebody decides to come back to you or not. Some of them may not even be in your control, but ultimately, I still think it all boils down to a couple things, which is I mean, it's really just experience, but I threw skill in there. But in my opinion, skill, your ability to give a good haircut is part of the experience. But the overall experience is what's gonna determine whether somebody decides to come back or not. So some examples of things that could negatively affect somebody's experience are, you took them back late, right? They showed up at 1 o'clock for their 1 o'clock appointment and you didn't take them back till 1:30. So right off the bat, you're starting off with a bad experience. You didn't give them what they asked for. So maybe it was a beautiful haircut, but it's not the haircut they asked for, right? So you didn't have the skill in the consultation aspect to make sure that you and the client are on the same page. Or maybe you tried to give them the haircut they asked for, but it wasn't a good one. Maybe your trimmer blades are too sharp, right? So you don't have the skill of making sure that your trimmers and your tools are set properly so that people aren't leaving with red marks all over their face and their head. You gave them a good haircut, but it took forever, right? They're used to getting their haircut in 30 minutes and you took an hour and a half. So even though it was a good haircut, time-wise, it wasn't a good use of their time. So those are just like a few reasons why somebody might not decide to come back. It could have nothing to do with you too. It could have been maybe the other barbers were rude to them, the parking was awful, etc. But ultimately, those all factor in to the overall experience. So I think everything that has to do with retention boils down to experience. So skill is part of that, but focusing on making the overall experience of the client is really gonna increase the likelihood that you retain them in the long run. And there's some things you can do also to retain people that help, having them set up their next appointment before they leave so that they're a little bit more likely to come back. Getting them to buy a product, because if it's a product that helps improve the health of their hair, they're gonna trust you more, so they're more likely to come back. Things like that, like remembering their name, remembering some things about them, not just making it a transaction, but making it like a more personal relationship is going to increase the likelihood that they keep coming back to you, especially because this is really important, especially if you're paying to get people, because chances are, unless you're charging like hundreds of dollars for a haircut, the cost to get them in with paid marketing, you're probably not going to make that money back on the first visit. So you really need them to come back at least a few more times to even recoup your costs. So retention is by far the most important thing, I think, because if you're putting a lot of effort into marketing, and you're still not getting busier, then it's a retention problem. Right? So I think this is more important, and once you really dial this in, then that's when this starts to get really powerful. Think about this. If you kept every client that you've ever cut, how busy would you be right now? So if you're not fully booked, but you've been seeing, it depends on the volume, but if you're not fully booked and if you've been seeing at least 20, 30, 40 clients a week, and that's been like that for a few months, it's a retention problem. You're not keeping people. So you need to figure out, is it a skill thing? Is it the overall experience? Because ultimately, and if you're not tracking your retention, no wonder you're struggling to build clientele, because you don't even know where you're at. So figure out what your retention is. If your booking software doesn't tell you that, switch booking softwares, because retention is by far the most important number in our business. So if you don't even know what it is, then you're not gonna know where you're at and how to improve. So figure out what your retention is and then focus on how you can get that better. Since we're on the subject, so in my opinion, this is based on the data that I've seen from our barbers. The barbers that start with nothing, with 0 clients, and end up fully booked are here when it comes to retention. And we break up our retention in 2 ways. So we have new client retention, and then we have repeat client retention. And then we look at a 90-day window. So basically what that means is, out of all the new clients that come in, if you're retaining 50% or more of them, then you will probably be fully booked in less than 6 months, as long as the volume is there, 40 haircuts a week or so. And when it comes to the repeat clients, if you're retaining at least 80% of them, then you will keep them, right? Because new clients turn into repeat clients, then you keep them, and then you keep getting busier. And this is when the magic starts to happen and the compounding really starts to happen. When you're keeping the new clients and then they become repeat clients, the total number of clients keeps growing. And I will say though that it does start to become a problem at some point. There is such a thing as being too busy. So that's when the other skills come in, because when you start to get booked, a week out, 2 weeks out, 3 weeks out or more, the other things start to become more important, like rebooking. The overall experience actually becomes more important because you're getting a little bit more inconvenient now to book with. So you have to try even harder, I think, to keep these clients coming back, because they used to be able to book with you same day. Now they have to look a week ahead. So you're making it a little bit harder to do business with you. And generally that increases the likelihood you're gonna lose a client whenever that happens. So I would shoot for these numbers. Try to keep at least 50% of your new clients. The higher the better. I mean, perfect would be 100%, but 50% will get you fully booked in a few months. 80%, it means you're keeping them. But notice that I've never seen anybody get to 100% retention. I don't think it's possible. Clients move, clients leave for whatever reason. I've had clients die. So even if you're busy, you never want to stop marketing, because if you turn off all the marketing, at some point you're gonna lose enough clients to where you're gonna have to be back to here again, right? And this is why I think some suite owners fail, because you might be busy now, but in 6 months you're gonna lose half your clients, even if you're retaining the huge majority of them. And if you don't have a way of replacing the clients you lost, then you're gonna be right back on this video wondering what happened. So never stop marketing, because you're gonna always lose clients. And if you're really good, you're just gonna lose less clients. You always have to have a way of replacing the clients you lost. And I'm gonna give you one last bonus here, because I think this is something that a lot of barbers don't think about. But if you're struggling to build clientele, it could be availability. Availability, right? So if you're not working weekends, if you're not working evenings, of course you're not building clientele, because those are usually the busiest times in the barbershop. So the more you work, the faster this will happen. Because if you're doing these things and it's starting to work and clients are coming in wanting to see you, but you're not here, then your efforts are going to waste, right? So if you want to become busy as a barber, then you have to think about, how do I work as much as possible? And it might not be convenient for you, but it's really about how do I become convenient for them? So that might mean working 7 days a week. That might mean working 6 days a week, open to close, because that's going to be what's required in the beginning. That's what I did. That's what I've seen a lot of barbers do. And then once you get here, then you can dial it back a little bit. But if you're wondering why you're not building clientele, it's one of these three things, right? You're either not marketing enough, you're marketing to the wrong people, or your marketing is not working, or your marketing is working and they're coming in, but you're not keeping them, or they can't come in and see you to begin with because your availability sucks. Or over here too, like they want to come back and see you, but your availability sucks because you're too busy and you haven't been working on the skill of getting them to book their next appointment. So now you lose them because your availability sucks. They might want, that's another thing, like they might want to come back and see you, but they can't because you're too busy, because your availability sucks. So now they have to go somewhere else that's more convenient for them because you didn't take the time to rebook them. If you're looking to build clientele and you're struggling, I would focus on all three of these things. I would say that these two are going to be the most important. Once you got these dialed in, really turn up the effort on this. But a lot of barbers start here, and I really think all the money is made over here. So hopefully you found that helpful. Good luck.